Hey guys, welcome back to some more Guild of Guardians. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the two biggest things that we have in this game to really keep your progression moving. Now, the first one, of course, when we look at a multitude of game modes, when you look at the arena, you look at the rush store, you look at the endless store, they're all giving you tokens to actually utilize within the shop. When you come to the store, when you come to the shop, there are some very important things. Now, number one being scrolls. When it comes to these EXP scrolls, they are incredibly difficult to get. You really have to beg, borrow, and steal. Any place that you can get these scrolls are going to be the biggest priority. Now, when we look at those game modes, you can use up to 10 different heroes. The chances of being able to build out 10 heroes is impossible. Chances to build out 5 heroes, not really too probable. Now, again, when we look at heroes, there are a lot of players that are running 3 or 4 heroes because 3 or 4 heroes at a much higher level are having a much bigger impact than we're seeing with 5 heroes on a lower level. So you're able to actually supercharge and build up heroes at a very high level if you're just running 3 different heroes instead of running all 5, which I started doing in the endless mode, and I've been doing and making way more resources and way more of a higher score than we have seen in the past. And it is because I can actually build up the levels on a few different heroes. Now, like we were saying, with the rush store, getting the heroes out of here, not really a big priority. Even looking at the general store, looking at our rush tickets, the wisdom dust you don't really need. The souls are the biggest thing and really the priority that you're going to get out of here. And you can see we already have enough to buy out everything that resets in another 24 hours out of this store. The arena store, the gold. A lot of players are looking for the gold out of here, and also the calling crystal. This, of course, is something we've went back and forth because a lot of players said calling crystals absolutely, once you accumulate so many, you can guarantee a hero. A lot of players said absolutely not. They are way too expensive. But overall, looking at the epic chest and the legendary chest, not really worth it at all for a random hero you're going to get. For the sheer cost, you could actually get one with that calling crystal. And then, of course, looking at the gold, the majority of players are picking the gold out of here. If you started to get higher tier gear, the gold is very, very expensive. Then when we look at the guild store, this is going to be about summons. Advanced material chests, as much as I like them, you only get one material, which is kind of silly. Then, of course, when you look at the gear, it is tier 2 gear, not worth it at all. And then the endless store, we go back into the EXP scrolls. When, again, you look at the ability to build out your guardians and getting another 60 scrolls out of here, you have to do this, and you have to do this religiously because you are not going to make progression if you cannot put levels on your guardians, making it really, really important. Now, as much as I do love the legendary gear, and of course, this is going to be updating pretty soon, the legendary gear will only really impact one single hero, which if you look at the abilities that we possess on the legendary gear, having a lot higher level heroes are going to be more beneficial than what we're actually seeing for the legendary gear in here. And that, of course, is point number one. When it comes to inventory, when it comes to these scrolls, any single place that you can get EXP scrolls have to be a big, big priority. And honestly, the absolute biggest priority within this game is getting those EXP scrolls. Because again, when you get to your heroes, when you have the ability to actually build them up to higher levels, and of course, looking at the Guardians right here, we're going up systematically and building up these heroes by kind of multiplications of 10. So what I mean by that is level 100, 110, 120, 130, 150, 140, 150, so on and so forth. Because of course, that is how their abilities are possessed. Meaning that once you get a hero, for instance, right here, we have Leah on 150. 152 is the max. Since I can't take 150 to 160, I only have those 2 more levels. I actually built some, and I'm going to continue to build right here in Karuk because, of course, getting this higher, adding stats exponentially on these heroes are really going to amplify what they're doing. And, of course, when we start looking at building only 3 heroes out or 4 heroes out, it does make a really big difference because I can supercharge and I can actually consolidate some of the heroes we have in here, put all the levels on 3 heroes and get them to about 140, 150 each, which again can be an absolute game changer. Now, of course, number 2, when you start looking at the heroes, it is the crafting. Now, you can see right in here, we have our tier 4 bags. You can also see there is a little yellow bar right above this bag. Now, these bags do have their own cooldown. And of course, when it comes to rubies, there is a very, very specific place that you should spend them. And it should not be summons. It should be on building out your gear and building out the heroes. So in here, we're going to build some more of this tier 4 gear. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to use this bag, making sure in the bottom right that we're not exceeding the 35 treasures. Because of course, it is giving us those EXP scrolls that we so desperately need out of here. But of course, like we said, when it comes to the rubies, when it comes to building it out, this is where you want to buy this out in its entirety every single day. Again, this is far more important than getting summons. Now, very early game, you might want to pop some summons in there, definitely get some movement in there. But overall, once you start getting a little bit basics, once you get a little bit higher with building out this gear, it is going to make a big difference. And I'm thinking we might be close. We're one away right in there. I think we have, what, one more? I think the bag's probably going to hit cooldown, but there is 45. Boom, giving us another 120 EXP scrolls. This is exactly what we're farming out of here. So not only are we going in here, we're farming gear, we are farming the enchantment materials to enchant your gear. You are also farming scrolls to get higher levels on your heroes. So this is literally the most important part of this game, because when you're going through here and you're building all these out, like I said, not only the ability to build up gear, which we'll look at in just a minute, but you do have the ability in combining resources. If you checked the AMA, if you looked at some of the feedback that we got, the combining of resources in here is definitely something that is on the map. It is definitely something that needs to be addressed, because this takes an incredible amount of time to go through here and combine all of these up. It does take a considerable amount of time. Now, as you can see, we have 6 energy left. This bag is currently on cooldown. It goes to a max of 3-hour cooldown. Now, a lot of players were also wondering where we get these bags. The bags and the materials to get these bags and utilize these bags are through the adventure mode. Once you go through a certain point of the adventure mode, you'll unlock another 2nd level bag to combine them. You'll unlock the 3rd level. Then finally, when you go through the cathedral in the last zone, you will unlock the 4th level, meaning that you can actually craft some much higher level gear. Then, of course, when it comes to the gear, now, looking at the different tiers we have, now you won't notice, or it's actually hidden behind, but you can see right down here where it says Forge mode. There's a normal and there is an advanced. So there are 2 different versions of the gear. The only one and the one and the only thing you want to focus on in here is the advanced gear in its entirety, which of course is going to take the more expensive resources. And when you start getting to tier 6 gear, a majority of tier 6 gear, even if you get an epic, even if you get a legendary, majority of the time you're going to be replacing all of the gear that you have on your heroes, even with basic gear. So looking here, I have a tier 6 masterful robe. You can see the stats in here are not good at all. We have rare and we have epic, but overall this tier 6 was much higher and a much higher kind of rating, my combat rating in here. Over what we had with our tier 4, it even replaced some of the tier 5s that I have seen on some of the heroes. So again, makes a really, really big difference when you're starting to build out this tier 6 gear. And you can see there are a multitude of places that the tier 6 gear is being used. And also that epic tier 6 gear is replacing a majority of the basic gear. Now, of course, when it comes to the tier 6 gear, it is very, very expensive to upgrade. But when it comes to the sheer stats that we possess, even looking something like this, the attack and the crit rating, the sheer stats in here can be and are unmatched by anything on a lower tier. Now, of course, you could get a really, really built, maxed out tier 5 that could take a place of a tier 6. But with the tier 6, of course, having a higher level, higher tier level, the stats can actually go a little bit higher. So even looking at this 5 with all of my legendary stats on here, this is one I'm going to be carrying for a while, because systematically you can look at the ones that you want to replace and really go through and see which ones have the best stats. And also looking at the boost rate here for the heroes, because of course we have a 12%, we have a 12%, there's a 10% and a 15%, as you can see right there for the stats. Now this is based on kind of 3 almost sub tiers within the tier 6 gear, meaning that there are some different levels. And you can see right here with the stats of a 10, so the 10 stat bonus gave us some pretty poor stats. Even looking at the 12, definitely a little bit higher. But then when you start looking at the 15, these are some of the highest stats that you can get within some of the gear. Now, of course, if this was my specific, if this one was a Terra, that would be very, very ideal for him. But unfortunately, we haven't had much luck with pulling the correct ones even here. We have a tier 4 Cinder, but again, this is one that we could probably get a tier 6, even an epic tier 6, probably put 3 levels on it and it would replace this tier 4. So again, systematically, I've been slowly going through here. We've been replacing a lot of the gear on these heroes. and just getting them to the point that we need them higher. Now, of course, we did get some scrolls out of that crafting. Boom, gonna give us one more level up on this hero. So that is already 2 more levels that I added onto this hero. Again, moving this hero from the 110 to the 120, gonna make a big difference because that is going to increase our AoE damage. And then again, systematically going through and seeing where these heroes are built and adding more stats. This is a game about consistency, about patience, and about progression. You're not going to come in here and really short of buying all of these big heroes. But even if you go in here and you buy all of these big heroes out, let's say you build or buy Aaliyah at 1510, the 15 Enlightenment, the 10 Radiance, you still need to put levels on that hero. You still need to put gear on that hero. It is going to make a big difference, which is the reason why both of those are the 2 biggest points in this game that you need to focus on. And really, when it comes to the shop, any single place that I can buy scrolls, I am picking up, and I'm picking up on a daily basis, a weekly basis, making sure again that we are really pushing the levels that we can get in there with the heroes within Guild of Guardians. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and as always, thank you guys for watching.